All right. Dope. I'm going to give everybody a chance to get into the room. Yeah. Okay. So I am going to get started. My name's Comrade Saint. My pronouns are he, him, and they, them. I represent the colonized nations of Africa and the indigenous nations of Cherokee and Blackfoot. This is Hard Targets. We're here every Thursday at 6. And we're the revolutionary news show that we get together from Black Hammer Times to get you all of the important news that you as colonized people need to be paying attention to, need to be internalizing and reflecting on so that we can move forward towards getting our self-determination back. And that's one of the things that is super important here. So today we are going to be talking about 2 articles. We're going to be highlighting the Missouri chapter and their work out there, and we're also going to be highlighting the LA chapter. But the articles that we're going to be doing this week are Wakanda is fake, but Hammer City is real, hashtag RIP Chadwick. We're going to be doing Kamala Harris is an abusive cop who's trying to win us to white power. And then the last article that we're going to be doing is Shut the Fuck Up, Kyle Mccarter, Imperialist Hypocrisy Runs Amuck in Kenya. So once again, this is Hard Targets. We are the revolutionary news show that we come together to bring you all of the articles that we've been putting out from Black Hammer Times to make sure that you guys have this information. One of the things that we've been pushing really hard for this past Labor Day weekend is the hashtag Hammers in Your Hood, because we were out there, passing out flyers, spreading the good word about Hammer City, and that this is a huge step towards colonized people taking their self-determination back, So we're going to have that interview the LA chapter did while they were out there talking to you guys and trying to spread Hammer City and Black Hammer to the people. So let's pull that up. It seems like the sound is off. Okay, so we're gonna move past the interview, and we're gonna move on with the segment. All right. So once again, Hard Targets is the show where we go through articles in Black Hammer Times that need a little more going over, so that we can bring you guys the news, and so that you as colonized people can stay informed about what's going on in the United States of America and other places where imperialism is still hard on the colonized people. We touch base on the facts of the political news, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So just to rehash, I'm going to be talking about what articles that we're going to be going over today. So the first article that we're going to be going over today is Wakanda is fake, but Hammer City is real, hashtag RIP Chadwick. The next article that we're going to be going over is Kamala Harris is an abusive cop who's trying to win us to white power. And the last article that we're going to be going through is Shut the Fuck Up. Kyle Mccarter, Imperialist Hypocrisy runs amok in Kenya. So let's go through this first article. So going through this article, the main points that we're going to be going through are basically what's been happening in the news as far as this the death of Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman died August 28th, 2020 of colon cancer. He was born in South Carolina, and Chadwick Boseman was in 34 movies. The Black Panther star had been battling colon cancer privately for over 4 years and had only just recently and suddenly taken a turn for the worst. Black Panther is one of the first big budget mainstream action movies to be about African self-determination. That's super important for African people as a whole. Like, self-determination is something that we rarely get to see ourselves depicted in the main media. And it depicted a society in which African people had dictatorship over their lives, land, labor, and resources instead of suffering under white power colonialism. Wakanda, under T'Challa's neocolonial rule, happily welcomed colonizers, including those who work for the CIA, the agency responsible for killing millions of colonized people around the world. In this movie, Disney portrayed Killmonger to be a bad person by making a mockery out of actual revolutionaries like the Black Panther Party of the 1960s. He and Disney was convinced until about a week before his death that he was going to beat cancer, be able to gain the weight back for a Black Panther sequel in March. Chadwick Boseman was even set to prepare in September. Even then, only a handful of non-family members knew that Chadwick Boseman was sick, including his producing partner, long-term agent, trainer, and the director of the movie 42, according to the Hollywood Reporter. This is so important because no one knew that Chadwick Boseman was sick. Chadwick Boseman didn't tell anybody that he was sick. There were tons of memes and comments on, lots of platforms talking about his weight and everything. He was so convinced that he was going to get through this and that he had to go back to working or else he was going to not be able to stay relevant. That even his agent, Michael Green, noted that his mother contributed in his decision to only share the details of his fight with cancer with a few people, he says that she always taught him not to have people fuss over him. He also felt in this business that people trip about these things, and he was a very, very private person. It's been said over and over again that, the way that actors in the industry who are being treated, badly feel like they can't speak up and speak out about what's going on. This is just another case of one of those things where it's like, we have to recognize that, like, we have to maintain our self-determination, because, like, this is not something that we should, like, be praising him for. You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't be praising people for being quiet about their pain. The way that the media is portraying this is just makes it seem as though it just makes it seem like we as colonized people, can't be honest and upfront about what is going on with us. Medical oppression, like physical, like all of this, like, it's just another reminder, another way that the state has of just twisting people to thinking that this is something that should be commended. When this man was in pain, he was dying, and he was still forcing himself to go through a movie. He was still forcing himself to do this. And, like, this was, like, not even, like, we talk all about, if you've been in the last rally about COINTELPRO, like, there are so many points of this movie where, the government, the state, has been portrayed as the good guy, as the savior. Like, all of this is a sort of programming that we have to acknowledge and recognize as colonized people, on top of the fact that, like, this man was suffering and nobody knew. This man was raised to believe that he could not do that. And if this man was raised to believe that, how many other colonized people are raised to believe that? This is something that we need to be taking a good look at. We need to be paying attention to, and we need to be hearing, like, this isn't something that we can't ignore anymore. We need to take our self-determination back so that there are no longer people feeling like they have to do this. You know what I mean? That being said, in light of everything that's going on, please be making sure that you're going and donating to Black Hammer, the disaster relief, especially because right now we are making sure that, we're preventing directly the material change of the lives of colonized people by making sure that they get PPE and any other, vitamins, etc. that they need. I believe you can go on the website and you can put in the order for anything that you need, and to get in contact with the region that you're in so we can get that to you as soon as possible. Hearing things like this really is how we try to put things in perspective on how colonized people's lives are taken away so quickly, and how we are expected to suffer in silence for that. And at Black Hammer, we as servants of the people can't allow that to happen any longer. So please go to BH Disaster Relief on Cash App and donate so that we can continue to help colonized people that way. Land back. So the next article that we're going to be going through is the Kamala Harris is an abusive cop who's trying to win us to white power. This article is powerful and it is really relevant. We are in the election days, people. There was just the, I think it was the DNC where they had that debate and everything. Dementia Joe has been desperately trying to find a reason for people to vote for him. One fake promise after another. One notable publicity stunt was his promise to find a woman for his vice president, as all 12 women Biden had in consideration for VIP were either colonizers or colonial sellouts. Say no to Kamala, is in what can only be described as senile tone deafness after months of uprisings against police killings of African colonized people. The liberal Democratic Party has decided that they want the top cop of the biggest state in the country as vice president. There's a video in the article of Kamala doing that, of talking about just that. However, the liberals in the Democratic Party don't actually want systemic change. In order to to overturn the contradictions issues of colonialism, they're rapidly pro-white power. And as we know, even white liberal socialists lack the revolutionary and liberatory power of the masses of the poor and working class people. Some things that we always talk about and is like one of the principles of unity for Black Hammer is that, we are the true working class colonized people. Like, this is something that we have, and it doesn't matter even if you are, colonized. Like, neocolonialism is here, it's real, and it's something that keeps happening. From the fact that Kamala Harris is like actively ignored police brutality, put it in place, and enforces it herself. Like, this is still liberalism, this is still neocolonialism, this is still the boot on her neck, and it doesn't matter that it's coming from somebody that looks like us. So yeah, especially because Kamala is a mixed race Jamaican Indian woman who's liberal enough to list her gender pronouns. Liberals think in terms of intersectional identity politics, and this makes them think that because Kamala has all of these identities, that she's on the side of the oppressed people. Like, it's not. You're not. You can be as liberal as you want to online, but like what your policies say, what you do, what you enforce is still there. We still see it, and we're not going to just ignore it, especially because, like, as dialectical materialists who think in terms of historical facts and opposing forces, we know that the main underlying issue is colonialism. It's always leading back to colonialism. Even when we talk about these things as like a broad concept, like, it still leads back to colonialism. It's always back to colonialism. We never, ever, ever see anything different. It's time for us, as dialectical materialists, as colonized people, like, to just face this fact and internalize this and realize what's going on. Because, like, yeah, she has this whole fake image, and I don't know who it's fooling. And it's not fooling us, and we're hoping that by showing you all of this, by bringing these facts to you, that it's not going to fool you either. It doesn't matter, like, who you're voting for at this point. Like, this whole system is trash from top to bottom. Like, we have to just see that and accept it. Like, we also know that, like, because, like, Kamala Harris has sold out poor and working class colonized communities and participated in their oppression, all for their career growth. Like, despite the fact that she was, like, putting all of her, all of this, pronouns in her bio and shit, like, she's directly responsible for putting a transgender woman, Michelle Norsworthy, in a men's prison and trying to dye her gender affirming healthcare. Like, we've talked about this, like, to the point, from the fact that, like, you were being asked to settle to, like, the facts of, like, what she's done. Like, it's time for us to just acknowledge that this is not what we want, to the fact that even her own father, who's a Marxist professor, understood that electing Black neo-colonial sellouts is a pointless goal. A quote there being, "The American system will and can obviously accept a certain amount of integration of Blacks into the state apparatus and into the economy at various levels. But those who hold power in this system are not about to and can never willingly preside over the breakup of the American state. It's just not possible." Like, you can't actively participate in this system without taking the system apart. Like, you can't support colonized people without attacking the root of the problem, and the root of the problem here is colonialism. Here in the imperial court, people all over the country have started to realize this, and it's time that we keep this going. We keep that momentum going, because we need to just get our self-determination back as best as we can. And that's why we're building Hammer City. That's why Black Hammer is addressing this materially, because at the end of the day, materially, nothing that Kamala Harris, nothing that Joe Biden has done and will do will ever be for the people. It's not. It hasn't been. It's not going to. You know what I mean? Black Hammer maintains that African and colonized people worldwide need dictatorship over their lives, land, labor, and resources. All the problems that we face, lack of jobs, housing issues, racism, sexism, etc., are because of white power, colonialism, and neocolonial sellouts who want to win us back while continuing to build the system. We need to just, as a colonized people, as the working class, realize and recognize that our labor is being exploited from us. We've seen it in how people are getting less pay. We've seen it in how there are people who are still homeless. Like, there's a problem at every point of every aspect of the system. And it's time that we as colonized people just take that self-determination back. We have no other options at this point, because between COVID-19, between, all of the things that we keep having to, go out to the streets and protest for in the middle of a pandemic, like, we can't do this. That's why we need you guys to go to GoFundMe.com/build Hammer City. We need you guys to donate, because we're on our way to getting our self-determination back. We've already announced the Constitution of Hammer City. So make sure you're going to blackhammer.org to give your feedback on that. And just watch us and help us as we continue to go on this journey to actually gain our self-determination back, because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are not going to be the ones that give that shit back to us, especially because of the fact that Kamala is the perfect example of a submissive neocolonial whose job is to sell out of their communities by tricking people into believing that this colonial, capitalist, imperialist system can serve the needs of African and colonized people. It can't. It hasn't. This is like discussing trickle-down economics all over again. It's not happening. We have to, just as colonized people, let go of this system. So the other article that we're going to be going through today is Shut the Fuck Up, Kyle Mccarter. Imperialist hypocrisy runs amok in Kenya. So in Nairobi, Kenya, U.S. Ambassador to Kenya, Kyle Mccarter, loves to point fingers on Twitter despite history of numerous scandals. So far, the types of scandals that Kyle Mccarter has been in is a expose by a local daily newspaper in Kenya detailed how officials at both the national and county levels inflated prices of personal protective equipment to steal money donated to save Kenyans from the pandemic, to the fact that he's been in a scandal that in the months leading up to his announcement that he's seeking a congressional seat, State Senator Kyle Mccarter spent more than $33,000 of state funds to a state campaign fund on a political consultant, even though he wasn't even facing re-election as a state senator until 2018. And that the money from the state campaign fund wasn't obviously supposed to be used for a federal campaign, but he also had to refund more than half of his campaign fund because of sloppy bookkeeping, which is congressional fundraising in a nutshell. Excuse me, we've been known that, warmongers in the U.S. have been funneling funds from Africa. It's something that we all know and that we've been seeing like over and over again, which is why, we have to let go of this imperialist system. We have to let go of this capitalist system. We have to let this go. We have to get the self-determination back from colonized people. He keeps blaming colonized Africans in Kenya for their dire material conditions while coming hard for the neo-colonial sellout leaders and asking them to do better and to stop being so corrupt, while also doing the same corrupt things that he himself is harping on others for. He epitomizes this white savior complex by making this act on Twitter. We've seen it with politicians in the U.S. We've seen it in politicians in other imperial places. It's something that keeps happening, and it's something that we need to keep an eye out for and keep that internalizing that as to why we need to internalize, why we need to take our self-determination back. Especially because despite all of this talking that he does on Twitter, and how he keeps on about how Kenya is in ruins because of unnamed, corrupt, neo-colonial leaders, but has been seen at brunch with the same people that he's supposedly complaining about. It's been seen, as you can see here, he's having a whole conversation with the Grand Wizard of Corruption in Kenya. As a representative of the corrupt American state, he keeps signing deals with the Kenyan mafia, also known as the GOK. GOK. And a phrase that he keeps using is the Kenyan politicians. But he keeps going on about how they're spending money on luxury items and vehicles with none of the same heat to the same American companies that facilitate this in exchange for blood money from Kenya. An example being the companies Ford, General Motors, and Michael Kors. We've seen this happen time and time again. We've seen, U.S. politicians, U.S. ambassadors, United Snakes ambassadors go over to Africa literally just as a way to pick and choose what resources they're going to continue to pump, because America is responsible for creating corruption in Kenya regardless. They force loans on Kenyans in the guise of development, and this money is, with the strings attached to them already, will be said to be funding education, health, infrastructure development, and other types of industries that way. And it ends up in offshore accounts in U.S.-controlled Panama or a plethora of American investment companies. And as you can see here, he's been asking for more money with Trump. Its sole purpose is gaining commercial and political advantage for U.S. colonial interests by colluding with neo-colonialist sellouts in Kenya. So those were the 3 articles that we went over in Black Hammer today. Right now, what I want to do is I want to hear from you guys and see what you guys are feeling about any of those articles. And also I want to know what articles or what you want to be hearing from us next week, because if there's news that you feel like we aren't covering, we want to hear that from you guys. We want to be servants of the people and continue to be servants of the people. So yeah, let us know. I want to hear from all of you, all 13 of you watching. Come on. Especially because of the articles that we put out this week. We didn't get to put out only some of the Hammers in Your Hood articles. So we want to hear what you guys think about the news articles that we put out. Specifically, I want to know what you guys feel about for the Chadwick Boseman one. because that one hit deep and touched deep for me and for like a lot of people. I feel like it's one of our more, controversial pieces. So we want to hear what you guys are feeling about it. Hell yeah. We're building a real Wakanda, and its name is Hammer City. Especially, yes, I'm on the Hammer City design team, and we've been working on doing the hammers in your hood. We specifically, what do you think about people in Black Panther in terms of it being propaganda? Is it still good even if it has bad parts? So I'm a huge Marvel fan, just because like it's something that I like was really into growing up. I feel like a lot of times like propaganda is a double-edged sword, because while like this movie did do some things in terms of letting colonized people see that we could gain self-determination, and I personally don't think that that's an issue. I feel like that's a good thing. You know what I mean? Whereas I feel like it's time for us to get politically educated so that we can see and know what parts of it, are bad, so that we can see and like point out instances in the movie where we can see the hand of imperialism. You know what I mean? So I think while propaganda like does spread and has like a internal programming, I feel like we as colonized people, through political education, can use this for a way to learn something. We as colonized people need to be thinking about is like, what message are we getting from these things? Because you can see like they painted Killmonger as the bad guy in this movie. You can see that in this movie, there's neo-colonial sellouts, because like even from the point where when one of the characters didn't get what they wanted, they decided to betray Killmonger, when in reality, like there was no material change happening to his issue. And so them as material dialecticalists that we can see, like went to the person that was going to directly address that, which in this aspect was Killmonger. That's why people keep being, bringing up the hashtag that Killmonger was right for a reason. Like, it's because he was right. It's because he was correct in the fact that, in the liberalism of, the leaders of Black Panther, like they chose to leave colonized people to the wayside. That's something that I feel like is one thing that, all colonized people can connect to. It's something that, can we reflect on how Black Panther helped give us confidence in building revolutionary consciousness among colonized people? Yeah, I agree. Especially because like you can see in the movie that like there was several times where like you would see like Nakia saying like, I just can't sit back here and watch all of this happen to these people, or how like she, like in the movie, like Black Panther had to go and get her because she was so focused on, fighting and getting the self-determination back of other colonized people. Like these are things that we can't just ignore. We can't ignore how like, for once on screen, like colonized people got to see like that self-determination be the default, and that's something that is, I feel like it would be wrong, and it would be obtuse, I want to say, as revolutionaries to not recognize how that can create a change. And I feel like as a member of Black Hammer, I feel like that is one of the stepping stones towards like me gaining revolutionary confidence in myself as well. I feel like we can take this as a way to point this out to our people and not just like ignoring all of the meaning and also like propaganda behind it. But I feel like that's something that we can do with a lot of things. And I feel like that's also something that is unfortunately calculated by the state. And you can see that in how they, insert things and inserted things in the movie, and how from the fact that like, the CIA is actually directly involved in the funding of the movie to begin with. But yeah, so that's something that we're hoping to, get that across for that article. Is there any other questions, comments about like what we are gonna? Oh, okay. So we're gonna do the Hammers in Your Hood interview now. Because that's what we were doing this Labor Day weekend. There was the hashtag Hammers in Your Hood movement. All of the Hammers were out passing out flyers, passing out PPE, and spreading the good word about Hammer City and spreading Black Hammer as a whole, because we know as colonized people that we need to regain that self-determination. So here's that interview as to one of the interviews that we did while we were out in the streets from the LA chapter. Okay. We still don't have any sound. So I'm going to read the announcements for this week, and then if you guys have any more questions for me, we'll take those. But then we're going to be heading towards, actually, what we're going to do before we go to announcements, I would like to direct you guys to go donate to one, the disaster relief. So please make sure that you're going to $BH Disaster Relief. That is where you can send in funds so that you can help make sure that we as Black Hammer can keep distributing PPE to colonized people. We are the most affected by COVID-19 right now, and the world is going crazy. We keep telling you about how even these in Kenya, these corrupt USians keep trying to steal money from colonized people and to further the danger that this virus is bringing to us. So make sure that you're going to BH Disaster Relief. Make sure that you're putting hard targets in the notes because we want to know that you came from us. The other thing that I want you to go to is go to GoFundMe/Build Hammer City. We are, as Black Hammer, directly addressing the material needs of colonized people by building a place where there will be no cops, no Rona, and no white people. And that is going to be the best way to directly address all of the material needs of what is happening right now. There are over 3 million people that are homeless. Like, we need to address this. So make sure that you're going to GoFundMe.com/Build Hammer City. And if you're doing Venmo or Cash App, it's $ or @ Build Hammer City. I'm going to be pledging a donation of $10. Does anyone want to match my donation? Let's see. Yes, Ali donating $10. I love seeing Black Hammer supporting people during the pandemic. Yes, because Black Hammer has passed out almost like, yes, Christina, I can half of that. Yes, Mason, $10, land back. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have a goal of $100 that we've raised today. I really hope we can make that because the more that you donate, the more that we can keep distributing this to colonized people. There are so many colonized people who don't have access to PPE, and we do not want them to be at risk. Just like, all the people going out without masks and not respecting the fact that it's not just for themselves, it's for other people and their safety. We want to make sure that colonized people, because we are the most affected by this, are out here safe and protected. So make sure that you donate so that we can get you guys the face shields, the masks, the KN95 masks, because we've seen and keep talking about how they're not better. Let's support the work and get people healthy and free. Yes, because Black Hammer is trying to address all of the concerns. We're addressing the material concerns of PPE, the virus currently. And okay, yes, Christina, doubling your half. I got 10 on it. Yes, got 10 on it. I'm so happy. We're making milestones. Every little bit counts, especially, and if you got, yes, liberation through material change. And if you want to, especially help somebody else, share this, okay? Share it. I'm sure there's somebody that got some guilty white friends that want to give some reparations and make sure that some colonized people are safe. We need to make sure that this is happening. Not only that, because the Black Hammer has been donating and making sure people got food. We've been making sure that people got coats, everything that we need. We got to get those reparations so that we can continue to do this for colonized people. We want to create material change in people's lives, because at Black Hammer times and at Black Hammer, we are dialectical materialists, and we want to make sure that we're approaching the needs of the people directly. Yes. All right, so I want to make sure that we're getting all of the donations in, and make sure that you're putting it in the notes that you're coming from hard targets. We want to make sure that we're seeing you guys. Also, if you want to join us and make sure that you're actually creating the material change, you can join at blackhammer.org/sign-up. And if you're already a member and you're watching this, why don't you join Black Hammer Times? You could come and be on the Hard Targets team, or you could write an article. If you are a member, you can also just submit an article yourself. That is something that you guys are allowed to do, and we'd love to have that. Especially because if you feel like there is something that hasn't been covered in your area, if you feel like there's something that we as colonized people need to know about, from just the things that are going on with the crops in Iowa to something that, protest is going on. Like, we want to hear about it. We want to be addressing the news of the people. That's what we at Black Hammer are here for. We are servants of the people. So make sure that you're coming and you're joining. And then right now I'm going to go over the announcements for the weekly, like, political education and stuff. So for Mondays, we have the members workout. That's at 1:15 p.m. Eastern time. Then we have everything's moving. Okay, so 3 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Eastern is a weekly rally. Anybody can watch the weekly rally on the Black Hammer Facebook page. We'll be going live there. And that's where we get our weekly political education. And then and I said Monday. I meant Tuesday. I apologize. Then Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, is the Propaganda Podcast, where they go over pop culture with Chief Slim and Chief Art. And then Thursday, we have the members workout at 1:15 p.m. Then 3 p.m. and every other 3 p.m. on Thursday, we have the gun club videos. 6 p.m. though, we'll have hard targets. That's with me. So make sure that you're coming and tuning in for that. And then I'm waiting. Friday at 1:15, we have the self-defense classes. So make sure that you're attending those, because we as colonized people want to make sure that you guys are safe. And that is one way that we can do so. And then at 7 p.m. on Fridays, every other, we have GAS, which is Go Off Sis with Chief Diva. That is the revolutionary show where they uplift revolutionary mamas and things of that nature. So make sure that you're watching that. 9 p.m. Eastern, every other, we have Fundraiser Fridays. And make sure to tag your hashtag y'all messy questions on Instagram, because that's when those get answered. And then Sunday at 11 a.m. we have the Revolutionary Book Trap, which is going to be with Chiefs Hash and Ishmat. They're going to be talking about the second chapter of My People Shall Live, an autobiography of a revolutionary. Political education is important. Okay, it's one of the best ways that we as colonized people can arm ourselves. So make sure that we're going and seeing and talking and doing that. Make sure to visit the Palestine section of our virtual library for the PDF. And make sure to utilize our virtual library, especially during COVID, because I know some of y'all got babies and you need to be filling the time with homeschooling. And then on Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern is the Oh My Ghazi show with Ghazi, and that is with the Commander-in-Chief. So make sure you're tuning in for that as well. And so that was Hard Targets. I'm Comrade Saint, and we'll be here every Thursday at 6. Make sure that you're coming and tuning up, and thank you guys. I'm going to head out now. Land back.